Welcome, everyone, to the Municipality of Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board meeting for April 3rd, 2024. First, we'll just mention everyone, please silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate during the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Gators?
Here.
Mr. DiAugustino?
Here.
Mrs. Wilkins?
Here.
Mr. Hutchison?
Here.
Mr. Whitfield?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here. Okay. Next up is the approval of minutes from our meeting from March 6th. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Ayes have it. They are approved from last meeting. All right, so now, before we get into any new business, we do have some old business that we have to discuss and bring up. And first of all, we need to, since it was tabled in the last meeting, we need to untable it.
So motion's in order to untable.
So motion, so who would like to make the motion to untable it?
I will make the motion to untable.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now it's back in session. So is the applicant here? Come on forward. Hello again.
Hi.
We need you to, again, to sign in, if you haven't signed in already. Okay. And raise your right hand again. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
State your name.
My name is Rolly Edoneju.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I know we had you here last meeting concerning the B&B. Did you have a chance to talk with Mr. Wilden about any additional items or anything along those lines?
Yes, I actually did.
Okay. And can you elaborate for that for us?
Yeah, so what he told me was actually the concern about the security of the people, the neighborhood. And like I said, the last time I was here, I had taken the measures to make sure that the property is secured. I have my cameras, which I can actually monitor from my phone. My husband and I, whatever activity that is in there, every day I get a notification, and they are able to tell me that anybody is in, and I can see the faces of the people. This is the back camera here that I have. The back camera, this is the back camera. So whenever the people comes in, the only code we give to them is the front door. So they are not able to go back except they are on the porch. And this is the driveway camera.
We can't see what you're looking at. If you
Oh, okay.
If you set it in the center.
The center.
Right here.
There's
There's like a little
dots there.
There's an X.
And
Right here?
then
Yep.
give the camera in the ceiling a moment to zoom in on it and watch the monitor.
Take a look at the monitor.
Okay.
And then you can adjust your phone to keep it centered.
Okay. So that's the back camera right there. And we have the history that is also being monitored by AD&T, which is the security cameras that we have. We have the histories right here. So we can actually see whoever comes in, and this is the front camera that captures the face of the people. This is the front camera right here. So he can capture the faces of the people that comes into the house anytime anybody comes, and I get a direct notification. My husband and I get a direct notification of the people that comes in. And from the online, we have a third party that does the booking for us. And before they allow anybody comes into the property, they actually do a background check on them. They are called Evolve. They do the bookings. All we do is they send us the notification. They send us the people name that is coming in. So they do the background checking also. They are the one, so on their website, this is the above right here. And we have those rules and regulations that is stated on their website, that one, which we know that in Pittsburgh, you cannot have a party in any Airbnb houses. So it's right there. It says parties and large gatherings are not permitted at the vacation rental under any circumstances. Conduct of unauthorized parties gathering may result in your removal from the property without refund, and above may contact local enforcement when appropriate. These rules we also have in the house. Whenever anybody comes to the house, the first thing they see is the rules that we have in the house. It is in different strategic places. This is the address right there. No parties or events in the house. Please, no loud music in the house. Do not smoke in the house. So these are the security measures we've put in places to make sure that these people that are coming in, they are not going to be nuisance to the people in the community. And if anything happens, we have our neighbors that we have told that they can call us. One person we have that is 10 feet away from us here is Mr. Marlowe right there. He is 10 feet away from us. He's our direct neighbor. We also have the other lady, but she says she doesn't have a problem, which I've gone to her several times. I go to her to make sure if she has ever had any problem with anybody that comes in here. She said no. So far, we have not gotten any complaints. We have not gotten any people in the house. And another thing is we have a noise monitor detector in the house. So if they are playing music and we are not there, we are able to detect it, that there are lots of noises in the house. Although I have never had that issue, but it is put in place, which AD&T can also see, and they will notify us immediately.
Just a question. You had mentioned if there was a party, the renters could be removed. Would that be immediately?
Yes, sir.
So if there's a loud party at 3 a.m., you would show up and...
Yes. We'll call the police because we already told them they have the rules and regulations before they come in, so they are aware that they cannot be partying in the house.
Is this through Airbnb? Is that what you're working through?
I work through Evolve, but they listed the apartment in different websites, Airbnb, Verbo, which is controlled by Evolve.
So I know that Airbnb just recently made some camera changes, some regulation changes about cameras, and I don't have an Airbnb, so I'm not 100% familiar with it, but some cameras have to be removed. Are you aware of what that is, and does that affect where you have the cameras?
You cannot put a camera inside a house. It has to be outside so you can see the people that are coming into the apartment. The only thing that is inside the house is the noise detector.
Okay, so that was part of their change, is that
Yes.
it has to be outside,
Yes.
not inside?
The noise detectors, does that just regulate decibels, the loudness, or does it actually record voices?
It records voices, and it will alert you that there are lots of noises and movement going on in the house.
I seem to recall last month when you were here, you had mentioned that you had worked with Airbnb to understand all of their regulations, and so you
Yes.
were compliant with all of their regulations. And I was curious at that point if they had sort of misled you that because of local regulations that they hadn't mentioned that. So I went to their website and very quickly found several instances of them indicating that among all of this, you must make sure you check with your local ordinances as well, your local government for any regulations And so I was wondering, had you seen that? Because that should have led you to somehow contact somebody in Monroeville to find out what our regulations were.
Yes, that's true. The fact is, I did not contact the Monroeville Municipality because I wasn't too sure. When I went online, what I saw was that it should be on my phone. I went to Just Hansard. What I saw was that, sorry, let me pull it up. So when I went to Just Hansard, what I saw, a customer was asking her short-term rentals legal in Monroeville, PA. And the lawyer said that this is what the lawyer said, which, although I did not contact Monroeville Municipality, he said that it was legal. I thought that there was, let me look for the one.
My first question would be, is it Monroeville, PA? Because I know there are other Monroevilles around as well.
No, I did not call to Monroeville, PA.
I mean, the site that you're referencing, are you sure they're talking about Monroeville, Pennsylvania?
Yes, because this was, the person that asked this question was in Garden City, Monroeville, PA, which is also doing an Airbnb business. So the person was actually asking if Airbnb was legal. The answer the lawyer said was that it was legal, but that they are taking the case to the court to see if they could have a license before, and there should be like an annual what is it called, annual permit to the people that does the business. So that's what I saw, but I didn't know that it wasn't legal in that particular zone. I have no idea that he wasn't.
Yeah, so what that attorney may have been referencing is Airbnb and short-term rentals are permitted in certain places in Monroeville, but not just everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
I know during the last meeting, Bruce, you had mentioned about a hardship as well.
Yes. As I explained last month, not only are you asking for a variance, you're asking for something called a use variance, which is the most difficult variance that you can ask for from this board. And you have to be able to prove that there's some hardship peculiar to the land. In other words, there's a steep slope, there's a river running through it, there's telephone wires, or there's high-tension cable wires. The steepness of the land is not level, or it's irregular in its configuration. And I don't think that any of those kinds of things come into play with this particular lot. Ergo, there is no evidence of any hardship here, which is essential to the granting of a variance, and certainly in the case of a use variance.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No.
Any other questions from any of the board members?
One other question. Is there anybody else that is going to offer testimony on this matter?
Hi. Please come forward. Need you to sign in first.
There's a pen right there.
On the side, there you go.
Sorry, my bad eyesight.
And state your name for Sharon, please.
My name is Milo Coddington, and I am the homeowner at 3984 Hazelwood Drive, which is their direct neighbor.
Okay, need you to raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Proceed.
So, I have owned the property at 3984 Hazelwood Drive, coming up on 6 years this September. When we first moved in, I mean, it was an abandoned lot. The homeowner moved to Florida. He just paid someone to come in and cut the grass so he didn't get fined. It went up for sheriff's sale about 2 years ago. I know there were some purchases. Personally, and talking with some other members of the neighborhood, we were all excited because an abandoned lot at the end of, a street is not a good look. And obviously, I have kids. I'm afraid of people breaking into those areas and parties and things that could happen. Since they have purchased the unit and ran it as an Airbnb, we have had no issues. I know when they had first purchased the unit and they were setting everything up, they both came over, they talked to me and my wife directly. We have 2 small children. We have a daughter who will be 5 this year, and we have a son who will be 4. So obviously, I'm always going to be a concerned parent and homeowner. They reassured us that there are going to be no issues. They explained the process of who they rent to, the process of Evolve, the thoroughness, the camera systems that they're going to have to make sure that the property is under protection. And I can say, since they have ran this unit, we have had 0 issues with noise. We've had 0 issues with parties. I can actually say I've had more instances where business owners have came in with their families where their children have played with my children. So from my end, and as far as the impact of the neighborhood, there have been no negative impacts, only positive. And frankly, I would rather this be the impact that it's had on our neighborhood than the house sitting vacant as it was, or potentially some homeowner buy it and, let it go, become run down, and, become a nuisance.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Board have any questions of the witness? Okay.
So seeing no other questions, Paul, any other feedback from any neighbors or anything else you've received in the last month or anything along those lines?
No, I haven't received any phone calls or letters, emails, or correspondence in favor or opposition.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so at this point, I will ask for a motion from the board.
I will make the motion to deny.
Okay, have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it is approved for denial of the application at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Paul, new business.
First item under new business is 24-6-A, Jonathan Junker. Applicant requested dimensional variance from Article 3, Section 315, supplemental lot and yard requirements of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 2779 to install a 10-foot by 18-foot shed in the required 10-foot side yard of the property. Property address is 2124 Berkshire Drive, tax parcel 980N232 in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Please come forward. Need you to sign in and state your name for Sharon as well.
I already signed in.
Already signed in?
Name's Jonathan Junker.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Sounds good.
If
Please
you could
proceed.
just stand at one of the
You
podiums.
want the podiums, either one, so we can hear you.
That's fine.
The
Go
microphone.
lefty.
Please proceed.
Basically what I'm looking for is a variance to basically put the shed within 10 feet of the property line. I actually went ahead and, because I was concerned with how close I was going to be to the line, I actually went and got a, had everything kind of done up by a PE. Had them do a whole survey of the yard and had the proposed shed drawn onto the drawing. So it actually, I got 1 feet 8 inches of relief to the front corner and 3.3 to the back. So it's kind of moving a little bit away. I also have additional copies if anybody wants one, for the plot plan as well.
Is that the shed in the back right?
Yeah, it's kind of in the backyard. It's not really in the side yard. And the backyard kind of dips off considerably, so it's not just level in the back there. An additional picture here kind of showing. It kind of dives off pretty aggressively down the hill there. So hence why, and you can kind of see some of the cracking through the backyard, hence why I don't want to put the shed out on that back portion, because I'm worried about it kind of
Okay, that was
sinking
my
down
next
the hill.
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, that and the kids play over in that area too, so I gotta fill in all the cracks this summer, so I don't trip and fall, but
Is your neighbor to the right of you aware of the shed going?
Yep, fully aware.
No issues?
No issues there. He actually has the same variance done on his property. He's actually the one who told me to go ahead and go through the process to do this, do it the right way.
Do it the right
Because his is like 6 inches to the line.
Okay.
So, trying to just do everything right here.
Is the shed you're gonna be doing yourself, or you,
No, I'm not a
so you're having it built?
Yeah, I'm gonna have, something, built and dropped off on the,
Okay.
on the site.
Is it gonna be wood, metal?
Yeah, it's gonna
plastic?
be, it's, wood, board and batten, made out of, pine wood, metal roof. Let's see what I got.
So it's not gonna be the same color as the house?
It will be when I'm done.
Okay.
So, right now, it's gonna look something like that. I know it's kind of a crappy picture, but it's, basically gonna come as, raw wood, and then we're gonna stain it, light gray, and then the battens will be white, and
Okay.
I got a gray metal roof, it's just gonna match the house.
Very nice.
So, when we're all said and done, it'll all match.
Okay.
What's the, excuse me, what's the dimensions?
10 foot by 18 foot. It's $300 more than 10 by 12, so.
I was gonna ask if you'd already purchased it to go along with the survey that you had, but, so the dimensions on the survey are gonna be correct because of what you're purchasing from
Yep, I had it all marked out on the yard. Everything was staked out when I had them come out. So that, there's actually a 1 foot buffer on the outside of the dimensions of the actual shed. So they, for the rain dripping off, they want gravel on the side so it just doesn't hit the side of the wood and kind of bounce up and
Yeah.
make a mess, so. Yeah, so everything, the dimensions of that plot plan here, for that actually includes that 1 foot barrier on the outside. Actually another 11 inches, because I was gonna use 6 by 6.
Within that solid draw, part of the drawing there, that's also your barrier, is that what you're saying? So that's not all just shed?
No, that's not all just shed, that's everything. That's the 6 by 6s on the sides, that's the gravel on the inside plus the shed.
Is that your base gravel? Oh,
That was what was recommended by the shed manufacturer.
So it's really, the only logical place to put your shed is right where you're looking to have the variance at, because of the drop off in the backyard.
Yeah, I'm really concerned if I put it, that picture, I think, looks like some of the cracking.
I'm sorry, when you're saying cracking, is it the actual ground is cracking, or?
Yeah, it was all
Just
fill.
settling?
Yeah, it's just settling, it's just kind of filling, it's kind of settling down, so I just don't want to have to move it in 2-3 years and have to re-level the yard and do the whole process again.
Is that the picture we're looking at, the white, is that the house with the white patio on the back, enclosed patio? Okay, just
This
kind of
is-
give
yeah,
us
it's
some reference.
Back in my house, it's the lovely playhouse for the kids, so it's sort of the area they're kind of using right now to run around. And then again, the back hill kind of slides off pretty aggressively in the back there, so.
And in that picture, your shed would be, that was the back corner of your
So from this picture, the shed would actually sit over here.
yeah.
So you can actually see this, the front corner here would be just inside of where I got my hammer sitting there.
Okay. And probably, again, we had no issues with any of the neighbors or any,
Again, no phone calls, emails, letters.
Everybody was excited, they thought I was getting a liquor license.
I think that's another board.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, so.
A couple more dollars.
Just a few, I think.
Is there anybody in the audience to mention or bring up or anything, or just making sure, okay. Okay, any other questions from the board this time? No? Okay, so, motion in order.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, John.
Good luck.
Can I get one of those surveys? Put it in the file. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Wilden.
Our last item 24-7-A, GTI Pennsylvania LLC, Green Thumb Industries / Rise. Applicant requests a variance from Article 5, Section 504XX, medical marijuana dispensaries of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 2779 to permit a medical marijuana dispensary within 1,000 feet of a church or school, as per the Pennsylvania Medical Marijuana Act 35 PS 10231.2107. The property is located at 3841 William Penn Highway, tax parcel 743J260 in the BLVD Boulevard zoning district.
Thank you very much. Applicant present? Come on up. And I take you've signed in already?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and can you please state your name for Sharon?
My name's Blaine Lucas, BLAINELUCAS. I am a legal counsel for the applicant, GTI Pennsylvania LLC.
Sounds good. Can you please raise your right hand?
You don't have to swear him in. I think you swear in the,
I'm just going to do a brief intro,
sorry.
but we
Okay.
we have a witness who
Don't
will
worry about it. Go
testify
ahead.
then. Okay. Again, thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. GTI Pennsylvania LLC is also known as RISE. It's a licensed medical marijuana dispensary with facilities in both Pennsylvania and throughout the country. Presently, it has 18 facilities in Pennsylvania, including one located presently in Monroeville at 3838 William Penn Highway. In 2020, GTI received a zoning compliance certificate as a, quote, retail store for the present site, which is permitted use by right in the C2 district in which the property was located. As Mr. Robbins will explain here shortly, RISE has outgrown that facility and would like to move basically right across the street to 3841 William Penn Highway. That facility was formerly a furniture store and has been vacant for some time. If approved, GTI would close the existing facility and just move across the street. The issue why we are here is that late last year, the municipality adopted a new zoning ordinance that added a number of limitations on medical marijuana facilities that are different from those applied to other retail uses and beyond those that are imposed by state law. And specifically, those relate to the use chart, section 320 and section 508XX. In a nutshell, the main differences between how the ordinance is worded and what state law mandates for any other retail establishment in that district is that it's a conditional use instead of a use by right. The other primary difference is there's a maximum of 3,000 square feet, there's a maximum of 500 square feet of storage, and there's a minimum of 25% customer waiting area, and there's also a 1,000-foot setback from not just schools, which is what the state law limits, but churches. And as we'll explain here, we're not within 1,000 feet of any school, but we are a little bit less than 1,000 feet from a church. In a nutshell, those requirements in your ordinance are actually inconsistent with state law, specifically section 10231.2107 of the Medical Marijuana Act, which provides, quote, a dispensary shall meet the same municipal zoning and land use requirements as other commercial facilities that are located in the same district, okay? I'm not quite sure how all that stuff got in there. We've seen it pop up in a couple other communities, but it's pretty clearly inconsistent with what's being dictated by the medical marijuana statute. Here, basically, we're retail sales, comparable to other retail sales, which is permitted as a use by right in this district without all those limitations that I just talked about. So we're here tonight requesting relief. I don't know what bucket you want to put it in. We could call it a variance. In reality, in the alternative, it's just a finding that those provisions that I talked about are preempted by the state law. I have a small packet here for the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very helpful, thank you.
Which consists of 3 exhibits. Exhibit 1 is just the totality of the application that was filed. Exhibit 2 is the zoning certificate that was given for the current facility. And then Exhibit 3, and this is what we're going to spend most of our time here this evening with, is a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to present here momentarily. I also understand that in speaking with the municipal solicitor, Mr. Ratcher, that he has provided a letter to the board basically concurring with our position that those provisions are preempted and indicating that the municipality is in support of the application. So with that, I'd like to call up, we have 2 people here tonight, Adam Robbins, who's going to speak. He's the senior manager for real estate and development for GTI. Also here is Marisa Miller, who's the director of land use and enhancements. Adam is going to be the primary speaker, and Adam, if you could come up now, be sworn, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Just making sure you're signed in.
Yes, already signed.
Okay, and state your name for Sharon as well, please.
Adam Robbins, Robbins.
Thank you.
Now I need you to raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. Please proceed.
Thank you. And thank you all for taking the time to listen to and discuss our proposal this evening. You know, RISE has been an active member of the business community here in Monroeville since 2020. We've really enjoyed our home here thus far, and we'll walk through what we're hoping to propose to allow us to continue to invest in Monroeville for a long-term future home for our operations here. So if we move to tab 3, we can walk through the presentation. And on the second page is just an overview of our organization as a whole. We were founded in 2014. We're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Pardon me.
Nobody in the audience can see what you're looking at. If you set that in the center, there's like a little tape X.
We can do that.
Sure.
The camera in the ceiling can pick up on that.
There you go.
Great.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, just adjust it.
That looks good right there.
Perfect. So over the course since 2014, we've grown throughout the country. We now have over 4,000 employees, 92 retail locations. We operate in 15 states. And if you flip to the next page, gives you a little footprint of where we currently operate. Most of our licenses are allocated east of the Mississippi River in highly regulated and controlled markets like Pennsylvania. On the next page gives a little more detail specifically on what our footprint is in the state of Pennsylvania. You can see that we have 18 locations throughout the state. This map is a little deceptive, but we have 3 locations in the greater Pittsburgh market. We have this one here in Monroeville, we have one in Cranberry Township, and one in Latrobe. On the next page is our proposed location over at 3841 William Penn Highway. It's directly across the street from our existing store. We like this location for a variety of different reasons. Primarily, it allows us to stay operational, not affect the business flow and operations of our current business. It doesn't allow or impact the patient experience as well. And in that transition, when we move across the street, it's an easy adoption versus moving into another municipality or further down as well. So we like this location. We love our existing location as well. We're just a little limited on what we can do to reconfigure the space to make it more accommodating for our patients and our internal customers, being our staff and employees. When we designed this space back in 2020, early 2020, it was just the start of the pandemic. It was a totally different world. Shopping experiences have changed. Preference of how patients like to interact with the pharmacists on staff or our team has differed as well. And there's just some physical limitations in the site that are not conducive for us to reconfigure the space. And moving across the street allows us to have a clean slate, allows us to redesign the store specifically for the current shopping habits, which we'll talk a little bit more about throughout the presentation. So on the next slide is just a couple photos. The top left is an interior rendering of one of our existing Pennsylvania dispensaries. Top right is the proposed site, and the bottom right is a rendering of what the exterior would look like once we are complete with our remodel. So this site across the street is 6,700 square feet. Our existing site is about 4,800 square feet. It offers a few different things from an exterior standpoint that we think are beneficial for us as the operator, the patients, and the community as a whole, including greater access to parking. We have access through an easement to the signalized intersection, which will help with traffic flow in and out of the facility. And as you can see from the interior renderings, we like to have a patient-centric, aesthetic here for the interior. We want it to be comfortable for the patients as well. It looks more like a med spa or maybe like a jewelry store or an Apple store compared to like a pharmacy. On the next slide is a concept rendering of our store design and including a security overlay as well. Security is a critical part of our business, critical part of our relationship with the local community. This just highlights the fact that we'll have, roughly 43 cameras providing on the interior coverage of every single inch of the store. So when we do modifications or when we're working with the Department of Health, our state regulatory body, they'll come in and look at our cameras and make sure that every inch of the interior of the space is covered, including every inch of the exterior as well surrounding the store. And so there are other notations in here that we can go into more detail if you have any questions at the end, including access control doors, glass breaks, things like that, full security measures. Our security systems are tied to the state police that's required by state statute. In addition to that, over the years, we've grown our internal security and asset protection team. So actually in Chicago, where we're headquartered, we have what's called a security operations center that's manned 24/7 by our own staff as well to provide extra line of security, extra oversight and protection. So all those cameras are being monitored 24 hours a day internally by our own team as well. Next slide talks a little bit about the dispensary operations. So again, patient-centric is kind of the key here. Right now, we estimate that we'll need probably 20 dedicated employees to manage this store. 13 to 15 of them will be on a daily shift. Hours of operation are going to stay the same as what we currently operate, 8 to 8, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 on Sundays. And just to give you a sense about how the transactions work at our facility, new patients technically or typically are a little bit longer of a transaction period. They'll oftentimes meet in our private consultation rooms with our pharmacists that we have on staff to talk about their treatments. But once patients get used to the program, they have we have tools and services like online pre-ordering, where they can, from their home on their computer or from their phone, they can place an order, have that prepared so they can come into the store and pick it up just like you would pick up carry out from a restaurant. And those transactions typically can range from, on the very, very fast side, maybe 3 minutes, but typically 5 to 8 minutes. And so the ability for us to relocate to the site across the street and have a clean slate will allow us to better optimize the retail floor to service patients however they like to shop with us. So some people like to get in and out really fast. Some people want to take their time, ask a lot of questions. We want to be able to provide an environment that accommodates both. The next slide, a little bit more about security. Everybody who walks into our store must be a registered patient with the state of Pennsylvania. They have to show 2 forms of ID, their state medical cannabis card and their active driver's license or state-issued ID. Again, the 24/7 camera coverage restricted access, we have multiple layers depending on the type of employee. So certain employees can gain access to the back of house, but maybe not access to the vault where we store the product and the cash. And then the chain of custody protocol, our seed to sale tracking system, it's required by the state. So in the hypothetical situation, let's say where somebody finds some packaging on the ground that doesn't belong to them, they could take that to our dispensary, they could take that probably to the police, they can scan a barcode and they can see who purchased it, when they purchased it, where they purchased it, when that plant was harvested, all the way back to when that initial plant was planted as a seed. So the safety measures are robust. Nothing has changed from the compliance model that we are currently operating in and have been here in Monroeville since 2020. And the last slide is just a little more detail, again, on the surveillance, anti-diversion, the seed to sale tracking that we were talking about, the child-proof packaging. We can go into more detail if you have any specific questions on those. But that, in a nutshell, is a high-level overview of what our operations are and what we're hoping to achieve with the relocation across the street.
You mentioned about an additional 20, is it an additional 20 team members that you would need for this location in addition to what you have now, or 20 total?
20 total, and that will ramp up as the program continues to evolve. Pennsylvania has one of the most robust medical programs in the country. There's something like 400,000 or more qualified patients currently in this program. So our business is continuing to grow. We could see that number grow. I don't know if it'll quite double, but yeah, I would say at least 20.
You also mentioned about the security. There's cameras outside as well?
Correct.
And are they set up, I guess, explain about how the outside perimeter would be set up with the cameras, just from a surveillance standpoint?
Sure. So I think it's within 15 feet of the store, needs to have 100% coverage. In Pennsylvania specifically, the state has required earphones, like an earphone doorbell ringer as well. So oftentimes when a patient will arrive at the store, they'll present their photo ID. If there's not somebody there to greet them, they'll hit the button, they'll present their medical cannabis card. They will then enter into an entry vestibule where their IDs are checked, scanned, and entered into our system to alert the team members inside the dispensary that a new patient has arrived. Yeah, and then essentially all the exterior will be covered and monitored. And then we also do, random and scheduled perimeter walks with our internal asset protection team, something that's unique to Pennsylvania. So in addition to the camera feed that will feed into the state and also feeds into our security operations center in Chicago, Pennsylvania requires that somebody is sitting at a computer or monitoring the screens on site at all times. So we always have at least one of our asset protection team on site during all operating hours.
Any other questions?
Any alterations to the parking?
No, nothing proposed.
You had mentioned about I guess the state police are tied into the systems and so forth. How are the local police tied in as well, or would they be?
They can be if they would like to be. I don't want to speak off turn, but
Are they currently tied into your system now?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But we have offered support. I know that there's been, car accidents along William Penn Highway that we have provided, camera coverage to help with some of those.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there was a chain of command if something happened at the facility, and who would be contacted first. Is it state police, is it local, or how that would work?
It would be local first.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Very much.
So our request is, again,
little unusual area here in terms of what you normally deal with, whether you characterize it as a variance or as just a finding that those sections don't apply because of the state statute. We'd ask that you consider approving
Here's
the
what I'd like.
application.
I'd like to keep it the way we have it written down, that it's a variance, because I don't know what happens in the future with some of these requirements. I think that's better protection for you, too. I'd leave it the way Paul has it written, and that is a motion's in order to approve a variance.
Yeah.
So
We-
that's where we're at.
Yeah, we certainly have no problem with
Yeah, it
characterizing it
doesn't
that
make
way.
any difference to you.
Yeah.
Was there any additional testimony or anything else to? No?
No.
Okay. All right. So seeing there's no more questions, there's a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There you go.
Thank you for your
Congratulations.
patience.
Thank you very much.
You're on your way.
There you go. All right, and one last motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.